And you are live.
Thank you very much. Hello everyone, my name's Nick Savage. I'm here in Weekend Warlords to unbox a box of Magic the Gathering Dominaria, the latest set from Wizards of the Coast for Magic the Gathering. We're going to have a look what's through it. All of these cards will then be put in the folders at Weekend Warlords, so you'll be able to walk in and buy them from there. Okay, cool. Let's start opening this product. So Dominaria is the plane that it's set on. Dominaria is the original plane that all the Magic the Gathering, the old stuff took place on. So everything from like Urza's Saga onwards took place on Dominaria. So it's a real throwback to Magic's history. A lot of the cards sort of call back to previous cards. So we have some Magic the Gathering boosters here. We have I think this is what is it? I can't remember what the Planeswalker's called now, or the lady's called, from the set. She was a classic legend, though, from the set. Joya Ballard, thank you very much, George, for reminding me. Cool, so let's get cracking then, have a look at some of these boosters. So, first booster of Dominaria, let's see what we get. Exciting stuff. I'll be talking through the commons pretty rapidly, because there's going to be a lot of commons. I'll be talking about the rares specifically. If a card catches my eye, we're going to talk about it. So, Cabal Paladin, our very first card. So let's talk about this briefly. Historic is one of the new mechanics from the set. So Historic, it defines it as artifacts, legendaries and sagas. We'll come on to sagas in a bit when we open one. So this says 3 mana for a 4/2. Whenever you cast a Historic spell, deal 2 damage to each opponent. This card is common. We wouldn't expect too much power from it. 4 mana 4/2, that's pretty on curve, reasonable. The fact it does 2 damage to each opponent makes it quite aggressive whenever you cast that Historic spell. So if you can fill your deck full of cheap artifacts to go with it, it's probably quite good. Black-white is the artifact, so the Legends Matters theme. So this fits quite well in black-white. Cool, we'll go through some more thing. Homerid Explorer. Homerid's a creature type from the early Magic days. When it enters play, each target player, puts top 4 cards of their library into their graveyard. 4 mana 3/3 with a mill theme. Invoke the Divine, destroy target artifact, gain 4 life. Fire Elemental, a reprint from the good old days. Fire Elemental card from back in the early days of Magic. It's a 5 mana 5/4. It's pretty good rate, pretty good large monster. Back in the early days of Magic, this was the place to be. Fire Elemental was a solid card. These days, it's a little bit slower. Like some of the rares outclass it, but it's not. It's an entirely reasonable card to be have in your draft or on your sealed pool. Broken Bond, destroy target artifact enchantment, put land from your hand onto the battlefield. Probably quite good at ramping you out. Blessing of Belzenok. So target creature gets +2/+1 till end of turn. So it fits legendary, it also gets lifelink. Quite a nice combat trick. It's instant, so it's going to pump your creature up in the middle of combat. Fungal Infection. So people are talking about this card for standard. So Fungal Infection, target creature gets -1/-1 till end of turn. Create a 1/1 green sapling creature token. So what this does for standard, it's quite good against those mono red decks. They're going to attack you with things like Bomat Courier and Earthshaker Kenra in the early game, and it kills those really quite cheap 1 toughness creatures and also creates a 1/1 green sapling to block. So if they're attacking you with 2 things, you get to destroy their Bomat Courier, block their Earthshaker Kenra, or the other way around, depending on what you want to do. In the middle of combat, it's really quite good. It lets those black decks sort of keep up with the red decks. A single mana. It's quite efficient for what it does. It's also in limited. It's a really rather good combat trick. Cool. So Gift of Growth. Pump spell again, more combat tricks. Skittering Surveyor, so part of the fixing for limited. So Skittering Surveyor says when it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for basic land card. If you do, put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. So it's a 3 mana 1/2. It's a historic spell, that's quite important for the rest of the set. And it lets you search your library for the basic land cards. So the fixing is not that great in the format, in the limited format. So what this lets you do is it lets you get those cards out of your deck, splash a 3rd colour, make your 2-colour deck a little bit more consistent, maybe. Cool. Aven Sentry, a flyer. Ooh, it's going everywhere. 4 mana, 3/2 flyer, solid. This is a common. So, okay, first saga. Let's look at it. Triumph of Gerald. This is the new saga mechanic. So these cards have been designed by Richard Garfield, the original designer of Magic the Gathering. So, what are they? So, they are basically they try and tell a story, and they're throwbacks to the previous stories of the Magic the Gathering, like early days. So Gerard, a member of the Skyship Weatherlight's crew, So what does he do? So when this enters play, and after your draw step, add a law counter to it, sacrifice it after it reaches 3. So first turn it comes into play, you put it on 1. So it says 1, put a +1 counter you control on target creature with the greatest power. Okay, great, so it pumps up a creature with the greatest power. 2, do the same thing. So first turn you play it, put a +1/+1 on the creature with the greatest power. Second turn, after your draw step, so you draw your card. At that point, you put another +1/+1 counter on the creature with the greatest power. It might be something different by this point. Finally, you move it to 3 in your third draw. On the third turn, you get to activate it. So target creature you control with the greatest power gains flying, first strike, and lifelink till end of turn. So it's 2 mana enchantment. It's quite good in the early game, and then it's going to pump up your creature that you have in play. It's going to make it really big, and eventually it's going to make it flying, first strike, and lifelink till end of turn. So it's going to do a bunch of damage. Great, absolutely great. So this is an uncommon saga. So it's sort of the lower power level end. I still think this is quite a good card. It's going to pump up your creature. So it's like some of the ordeals that we've seen in Theros. That's quite similar to me. This is similar to one of the ordeals that we've had. Cool, so let's move on. Memorial to Folly. Non-basic land, what does it do? Enters the battlefield, tap, add a black mana to your mana pool. 2 and a black, tap it, sacrifice it, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So it's going to get those creatures back for you on a land as well. That's quite cool. Right, our first legend. I'll move these out of the way for a second. Right, our first legend is an uncommon legend. So these packs, they all have guaranteed 1 legend in them. So our first uncommon legend, Grun, the Lonely King. So Grun is a legendary ape warrior. He's a 5/5. He's got Kicker 3. Kicker is one of the returning mechanics from an old set. So you can pay an additional 3 when you cast this spell. So if it was kicked when it enters the battlefield with 5, it gets 5 +1/+1 counters. So whenever he attacks alone, double his power and toughness till end of turn. So he's a 6 mana 5/5. He's quite a large monster. He's an ape warrior. You'd expect him to be quite a big, scary monster. He gets +1/+1, 5/1/1. He gets 5 +1/+1 counters if you kick him. So for a total of 9 mana, you're going to get a 10/10. And every turn it attacks on its own, double its power and toughness. It's going to be a big monster, that one. Cool. Right. So Oath of Teferi, our first rare. Oath of Teferi says when it enters the battlefield, exile another target permanent you control, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So it flickers a card out of play and back into play. So it's going to trigger those entering the battlefield effects. It also says that you can activate the loyalty count abilities of planeswalkers you control twice each turn, rather than only once. It's really powerful. So the Oath of Teferi. So Teferi's joining the Gatewatch. That's great from the lore point of view. So Teferi's oath is, for the lost and forgotten, I will keep watch. So all of the planeswalkers that joined the Oath Watch, they've gained an oath card similar to this. So this is Teferi's oath card. Great. Cool. We'll put the rares over there. So I've got Plains as well. I really like this art on this Plains. It's a throwback to Serra's Realm from the Urza set. It's got some lovely floating islands there. And we've got a token, a Saproling token, the Slug Saproling token. Awesome. Cool. Right, let's leave Oath of Teferi under the camera so you can all see it and digest what it was. Excellent, there we go. Cool. Pack 2. Let's see what we get. Cool. So, some more cards. Davenant Trapper. Whenever you cast a historic spell, tap target creature an opponent controls. So it's quite aggressive. It's 3 mana 3/2, and it's going to tap those blockers and get them out of its way. I played some of these in my pre-release. I was really pleased with the power level on it. Gitu Lavamancer, Llanowar Envoy. It fixes your mana for you. Divest, a new discard spell. So I've seen people talking about this in black control decks. So target player reveals their hand, you choose an artifact or creature card from it, that player discards that card. So it's similar to Duress. So it's going to get an artifact or a creature card out of their hand rather than a non-creature card. So this fills the other side of the role. So you've got Duress that gets non-creature cards out of their hand, or non-land creature cards out of their hand. This one that gets artifacts or creature cards out of their hand. So it really is the 1-2 punch of Divest and Duress. Opt has been reprinted with some awesome artwork on it. So it's scry 1, draw a card. It's got the new templating for the flavor text on it as well. So Opt, we've seen this card in Standard. It's been quite a mainstay. It's also starting to see some play in Modern as well. I believe it's the FNM promo as well for this month. So Academy Journey Mage costs 1 less cast if you control a wizard, and then it returns when it enters the battlefield. Return target creature opponent controls to its owner's hand. So it's one of those bounce effects on a creature, similar to Mana War, which I think is the original one. Macy Unicorn, I believe this is a reprint from an earlier set as well. So life 2/2 life link for 2 mana. It's good value bear, so it's a 2 mana 2/2 with some sort of additional value there as well. Fiery Intervention. So deal 5 damage to target creature or destroy target artifact. In Limited, this is the sort of card you really want to see. It's one of those really good removal spells. It's expensive, but it does deal with the creatures, so it's good to see in your deck. It is only a common. You'll probably get quite a few of them, if you're lucky to be in red and no one else has taken them, of course. So, Jousting Lance. This is another historic spell. So, historic spells, remember, are artifacts, legendary cards, and sagas. Sorry. So, Jousting Lance. Equipped creature gets +2/+0. As long as it's equipped, and it's your turn. It has first strike. So equip 3. So it's quite. I don't know. This card's probably quite good enough. It was definitely good enough in sealed for me. It's probably quite good. There's a lot of flyers out there to equip with the +2/+0. It's going to get quite dangerous quite quickly. It's also got first strike, so blocking this creature becomes quite difficult. Goblin War Chief. Our first uncommon from the pack. I'm just going to talk about Goblin War Chief for a little bit, actually, because Goblin War Chief is a reprint from an old set. So Goblin spells cost 1 less to cast. Goblins you control have haste. This card has been a staple in Goblin decks for quite some time. It's very good, especially if there are some good Goblins you want to cast in these sets. There is one. There's Siege Gang Commander, which has been reprinted in the set as well. So it's quite good with Siege Gang Commander. This card is good that it's getting a reprint because there's some people out there who love playing Goblins and can now get more Goblin War Chiefs to their decks if they didn't already have any. Cool. Awesome. So, final parting. So, search your library for 2 cards, put 1 into your hand and the other into your graveyard, shuffle your library. 5 mana. It's a bit slower than Demonic Shooter, but it lets you put a card into your graveyard as well. As far as Standards goes, it's probably around about the right speed for Standard. Cool. Those are our uncommons. We've got a legend from the set, Baird, Steward of Argive. 4 mana for a 2/4 with Vigilance. Creatures can't attack you or a planeswalker you control unless a controller pays 1 for each of those creatures. So it's really going to sort of deter people from attacking you with large boards of monsters. In Standard, you might be playing this in Standard. It's probably quite good against things like vampires when they can't attack you with all of those little 1/1 tokens they have, or maybe 3/3 tokens if they pump them up somehow. Baird, Steward of Argive, going to protect you from quite a large board of creatures that your opponent might have. Cool. So moving on, let's have a look at the rare. Woodland Cemetery. So this is a reprint. These, I believe, were printed in Innistrad originally, like original Innistrad. So they're what's called a buddy land. So when it enters the battlefield tapped, unless you control a swamp or a forest. They're called buddy lands because they buddy up with swamps and forests. Sometimes called check lands as well because they check to see if you have a swamp or a forest. It taps to add black or green to your mana pool. So it's this is part of the fixing for Standard. So Standard always wants new fixing so it can play more multicolored decks. This one's going to let you play black-green a lot better than you currently can. Currently the black-green lands, you're limited to, I believe it's the fast land, so the one that enters play untapped on your first 3 turns. In black-green you've also got the uncommon land as well, so this one really sort of pushes that black-green to be a little bit more consistent. Rat Colony, it's a foil, so Rat Colony gets +1/+0 for each rat you control. A deck can have any number of cards called Rat Colony, so you can have lots and lots and lots of Rat Colonies in your deck. Brilliant. Foil Rat Colony as well, so you can actually put like 13, 20 of these, maybe even more, in your EDH deck and have a rat themed EDH deck with even more of these. Great. Cool. So what else do we have? Our land is an island and we've got an elemental token. Brilliant. Okay, let's keep cracking on with some more packs. Cool, so we have as our uncommons, Unwind, counter target creature spell, untap up to 3 lands, Adamant Will, Warlord's Fury, Mammoth Spider, Stronghold Confessor, another kicker card, Menace. It's a 1 mana, so it's quite good modally, so you get either first mode is a 1 mana 1/1 with Menace that you can then enchant with or equip with spells that will pump it up, or later in the game when you draw it late game, when you've got lots of lands and you're drawing the top card of your library every turn, you get to make a 3/3 with Menace that's going to threaten to end the game a bit faster. That's great. I like the fact it's got 2 modes, it plays multiple roles. Cold Water Snapper, Blink of an Eye, Shivan Fire, Pegasus Courser, and Llanowar Elves. So, Llanowar Elves. This is one of the... So, Wizards haven't really been printing 1 mana creatures that tap to add mana to your mana pool. So, Birds of Paradise, Noble Hierarch, these sort of spells, we haven't really seen them very much. They've taken these sort of effects out of Standard for a while, out of the game for a while, so we haven't seen them in a few years. Llanowar Elves, it's threatening to really change the way Standard plays. So, the fact that you can play a 1 mana guy on turn 1, and it'll tap for mana and let you play a 3 mana spell on turn 2, that's going to speed the format up quite a lot as well. So Llanowar Elves, they're really going to change the way the format works. I think it's really good. I love playing green decks, to be honest. So Llanowar Elves is going to look pretty good, pretty exciting. The chance to get to play things like chance to play some 3 mana spells on turn 2, I'm really excited for. Cool. So those are our commons from the set, from this particular booster pack. I'll put these down here. Awesome. Right, so moving on, let's have a look at our uncommons. Spore Swarm, so create 3 sapling tokens, that's what makes those tokens. Memorial to Genius, so for 5 tap it, draw 2 cards. Our uncommon legend is Slimefoot Stowaway, so whenever a sapling you control dies, Slimefoot the Stowaway deals 1 damage to each opponent, you gain 1 life, and you can pay 4 to create a 1/1 green sapling creature. So green-black, this is one of the sort of the landmark uncommons that will point you towards what the format in the archetype and draft for that colour pair is going to be. So it looks like colour pairing for green-black here is going to be sapling tribal. Excellent. Making a lot of 1/1s, making quite a large board state, that's cool. That's what Green-Black wants to do in this particular format, make a bunch of saplings and then use them for benefit. This is the benefit, is that you get to deal 1 damage when they die, and your opponent gets to gain 1, and you gain 1 life. Brilliant. Right, Two-Headed Giant, another reprint at Rare, excellent. So Two-Headed Giant, this card's really, really good in Limited. 4 mana, 4/4. Whenever it attacks, flip 2 coins. If both coins come up heads, Two-Headed Giant gains double strike until end of turn. If both coins come up tails, Two-Headed Giant gains menace until end of turn. So we get to flip some coins in Standard again. Excellent. Who doesn't love flipping coins? Cool. So next pack, Cabal Evangel. It's a 2 mana 2/2 in black. Syncopate, another reprint, quite a good counter spell. Counter target spell unless its controller pays X. If that spell was countered this way, exile it instead of putting it into owner's graveyard. People are going to be countering Scarab Gods with this, and that makes me happy. Scarab God has been dominating the Standard format for as long as it's been in print. People get to syncopate it, exile it, so they can't get it back. Great. Serra Disciple, Skirk Prospector, Grow from the Ashes, Rat Colony, more rats, Pardic Wanderer, a large giant historic man. Call the Cavalry, create 2 Knight tokens, so in those Knight decks that White wants to play. Divination has been reprinted, draw 2 cards for 3 mana. Power Stone Shard, so it taps for mana. So our uncommons are Sentinel of the Pearl Trident, so 3 mana flash, 3/3. When it enters 5 mana flash, 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, you may exile target historic permanent you control, then return it to the battlefield under your control at the beginning of the next end step. Similar to that Oath of Teferi we saw earlier. So it's going to exile stuff and then bring it back again. The flicker effect we talked about earlier. Guy's Blessing, so Guy's Blessing is a reprint. Target player shuffles up to 3 target cards from their graveyard into their library, so you can get rid of those cards that Scarab God player is trying to bring back, and then you draw a card. Or, when it's put into your graveyard from your library, shuffle your graveyard into your library. So it protects yourself from mill. So if you mill you Guy's Blessing into the graveyard, you get to shuffle your entire graveyard back into your library so that you don't actually get milled out. Excellent. Yargle. You had me at Yargle. That's what Wizards marketing has been for this set. Yargan, Glutton of Urborg. It's a frog spirit. So, it's a 5 mana 9/3. That's not all that special, but it is. This is the first 9/3 we've ever seen in Magic's history. That there's a grid out there with all the different power and toughnesses out there, and Yargle, Glutton of Urborg, has filled one of those slots up. So if you're playing bingo, Yargle has filled that particular thing up. So we were talking about goblins earlier, and guess what? We've opened a Siege Gang Commander. So this combos quite nicely with the Goblin War Chief we saw earlier. So this makes your Siege Gang Commander cost less and all your goblins have haste. So what does Siege Gang Commander do? Siege Gang Commander enters the battlefield, create 3 1/1 red goblin creature tokens, sacrifice the goblin. Siege Gang Commander deals 2 damage to any target. This card's been seen a lot of play in Magic's history. Siege Gang Commander is one of the best goblin cards out there. It's certainly the payoff for playing goblins in this particular format. So yes, Siege Gang Commander, excellent. Glad we opened it. Brilliant. I'm glad to see they've reprinted this card. Again, awesome. Some EDH cards decks right out there will definitely want this. Krenko Mob Boss really quite likes this card. It goes in that deck quite nicely. So let's have a look at our next few cards. So Talarian Scholar, Excavation Elephant, Warlord's Fury, Primordial Worm, Dominant Vigor, Cold Water Snapper, Keldon Raider, Yavimaya Shepherd, Sparring Construct, Divination again. Those are our commons. So our uncommons, Sentinel the Pearl Trident again, Memorial to Folly again, Arvad the Cursed, so it's one of those landmark uncommons again in the 2 colours, so it's a really sort of pointer to where you want to go. I was talking about the fact that black-white is legendary matters, so other legendary creatures you get +2/+2. Talk a little bit about the new card frame at the top. So you can see here the legends have got a little logo around their name box, so they look a little bit different from how they have previously. This is another thing that this set has introduced, just to highlight the fact that the legends are new and exciting, and they actually do matter. They're one of the themes in this set, and the fact that we've got legends uncommon as well helps you play legendary decks, legendary cards in your legendary decks. Cool. So Arvad the Curse, other legendary creatures you control get +2/+2. Cool. So a rare saga, the Mirari Conjecture, referring back to that piece of history from Magic where the Mirari was causing all kinds of problems. So what does it do? The first turn you have it in play, you return target instant card from your graveyard to your hand. Second turn you have it in play, return target sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. And the third turn, until the end of turn, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. Similar to what the Mirari did in Magic originally. Cool. So let's move on. Awesome. So another pack. Cool. I'm going to rush through the commons a little bit faster now. We've opened a few packs, so we'll move through them. So try and get through the box. We've still got quite a lot through. We've opened 6 packs so far. Right. Rescue. Return target permanent you control to an hand. I've actually played that in Pauper. Healing Grace. Pierce the Sky. Cabal Paladin. Arcane Flight, Sergeant at Arms, Keldon Raider, Baloth Gorger, Navigator's Compass, Academy Drake. Right, those are our commons. Our uncommons are Knight of Malice, Hexproof from white. So it's the first time we've seen those words on a card. Hexproof from a colour. So the old knights in Magic, they were 2 mana 2/2s. They had first strike. They had protection from white and protection from black. So this one's got Hexproof from white. So it means that the creature can't be the target of white spells or abilities. It's similar to a protection from white. It's not quite as backbreaking. It can still be blocked by a big enough creature. So it gets +1/+0 as long as a player controls a white permanent. So if you're playing a black-white deck, this is going to get +1/+0. If your opponent's playing white, then it's going to get +1/+0. Warcry Phoenix. So it's like a phoenix. It comes back from your graveyard. Whenever you attack with 3 or more creatures, you may pay 2 and a red. If you do, return Warcry Phoenix from your graveyard to the battlefield, tapped and attacking. Slimefoot the Stowaway again. Cool, another one of those. More sapling stuff. Right, the Mending of Dominaria. This is another rare saga. So, put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. They may return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So when you play it, you get to mill the top 2 cards and you get to return a creature card. For 5 mana, getting a creature card back, but the next turn you get to spend no mana and have that effect as well. So that's going to be quite good because you get to play that creature straight away. Return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield, then shuffle your graveyard into your library. So this works quite well if you're milling yourself. So you're putting a bunch of cards into your own graveyard and play the Mending of Dominaria, return some of those creatures back to your hand, so it's like drawing cards at that point, so you're using your graveyard as a resource, and then finally you get to return all your land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. That's quite a powerful effect. That's quite cool. I like that card a lot. I don't know how powerful it is. I probably play that in this new format called Brawl. So Brawl is a new format where it's like Commander, where you get to choose a general. You can only play standard cards though. So these sort of things, a lot of these sort of different cards from standard are going to see a bit more play because they get to see play in Brawl decks. This card, I think it's going to be a Brawl All-Star. Cool, so moving on, let's open some more. So Tragic Poet, Keldon Warcaller, Corrosive Ooze, Foul Salvage, Befuddle, Charge, Demonic Vigor, Run Amok, Cloud Reader Sphinx, more Llanowar Elves. Brilliant. So if you need some Llanowar Elves, there's some in the folders. Hope they don't get all snapped up straight away. Elfheim Druid. So let's move on to these uncommons. So we'll put that in the rare pile. Uncommons, Elfheim Druid. So it's a 2 mana. It taps to add green to your mana pool, or you tap it, add green, spend this mana and cast kicked spells. That sort of says that green is going to be about kickers. And actually the kicker spells matter. Deck is red-green. So this card's going to be quite good in that red-green deck. That's once you want to cast a lot of kicker costs. It's also a 2 mana 0/2 that lets you add mana to your mana pool. We all, like for standard, we've been playing 2 mana creatures that tap to add mana to your mana pool, and they've been good. This card could be quite good. It's going to be very good and limited where you want to cast kicker costs. Juggernaut. So Juggernaut is back. Excellent. So the old classic 4 mana 5/3. It has to attack each turn if able, and then it can't be blocked by walls. It's a bit of a throwback, that line of text. I don't know that we have very many walls in standard anymore. So this card, it's one of those old reprints from way back when. We've got another Baird. Excellent. So again, creatures can't attack you if they attack you unless their controller pays 1 for each of those creatures. Our rare, we have a mythic this time. So we've got a Weatherlight. So I really quite like this card. So 4 mana, 4/5, flying. It's a vehicle. Whenever it deals combat damage to your player, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a historic card from among them, put them into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So I had this in my Black-White Legends Matter deck at the pre-release I played in. It was really very powerful. Crew 3 it says as well. So yeah, we know that vehicles have been quite powerful. This probably goes in the vehicles deck. So if you bought one of those Challenger decks that's around the vehicles, this probably goes in that sort of deck as well. It might go in Mardu vehicles in standard as well. I quite like it. It's really it's very thematic as well. So Weatherlight has been one of the main things in standard. So they've had this flying, planeswalking ship from way back when. So from Mirage, they were on the Weatherlight, and they've brought the Weatherlight back out of mothballs, as it were, and they've got a new crew to fly it. Excellent, great. Sapling token of planes. Let's open another pack, see what we get. Crack again. Cool. So Charge, Gitu Journey Mage, Llanowar Scout, Drudge Sentinel, Rescue, Serra Disciple, Pegasus Courser, Vicious Offering, Short Sword, Keldon Raider, Aramanthine Wall. You know I was talking about walls? Well, there is one apparently, Aramanthine Wall. That was our first uncommon, was Aramanthine Wall. Let's have a look at that. So Defender gains Indestructible, 0/6, 4 mana. Right, so on Serra's Wings, this card is an absolute powerhouse. So, enchant creature. So, auras have been a little bit awkward. So, you play one on a creature and you get 2 for 1. So, you get your creature destroyed and you put your enchantment into the graveyard. In limited, though, there's less instant speed removal flying around. So, the fact that this is an aura, enchanted creature is legendary, gets +1/+1, flying, vigilance, and lifelink. That's a lot of things to give a creature. It also gets to attack, assuming you didn't play it straight away this turn. It gets to attack the turn you play it. And you gain actually quite a lot. So you get It has vigilance, so you get to keep that blocker. It has flying, so it gets to get around a lot of things. It gets +1/+1, so it gets bigger, and it has lifelink, so you get a bunch of life back as well. If your opponent can't deal with it either straight away, this is going to take over the game. Great. This card's really very powerful and limited. I'm really quite excited by it. I'm going to try and pronounce this. Tatiova, Benthic Druid. So it's a Merfolk Druid, 5 mana for a 3/3. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life and draw a card. It's a loss of value. I'm definitely going to say that. I really like a good value engine card. So this one's going to sit in play, gain you a load of value. You get to draw cards whenever your lands enter play. Excellent. Right, a card that is exciting for Brawl. Gilded Lotus. This card I've put in almost every single EDH deck I've ever built. Every Commander deck has had a Gilded Lotus in it, just because it's so good. 5 mana, tap it, add 3 mana of any one colour to your mana pool. So it's like a Black Lotus that doesn't die, but it does cost 5 mana. This card is absolutely brilliant in Brawl. Ramps you out from 5 mana up to 9 mana if you play a land the next turn as well. So it's great. I get to play this in my Brawl decks. Excellent. I'm really excited to be playing this in Brawl. I think it's very good power level wise. I think it's an excellent card. I'm really looking forward to playing Gilded Lotus. So, next pack. Bloodstone Goblin, Llanowar Envoy, Cabal Evangel, Syncopate, Serra Disciple, Mesa Unicorn, Short Sword, Shivan Fire. Let's have a look at Shivan Fire briefly. Shivan Fire is another one of those... I'm going to put that over there actually. Shivan Fire is another one of those commons that's really quite good to pick first. So, what does it do? It's red, instant. Deal 2 damage to target creatures, so it's going to destroy those pesky Llanowar elves on turn 1, the turn someone plays it. And then if it was kicked, it deals 4 damage to that creature instead. So it's modal again, so early game you get to kill a small creature, later game you get to kill a bigger creature. Great. So it's always going to do something. Brilliant. So, the rest of the commons in the pack, Sapling Migration, Curate, and then onto the uncommons. Curator's Ward, Enchanted Permanent has Hexproof, and when Enchanted Permanent leaves the battlefield, if it was historic, draw 2 cards. It's going to protect your historic permanents. So it's going to protect your planeswalkers, which now are legendary and hence historic. It's going to protect your legendary creatures. It's going to protect your artifacts. Champion of the Flame, and if they do manage to kill it, also, sorry about this, if they do manage to kill it, you get to draw 2 cards, so it replaces itself. It replaces the aura, and it replaces the legend that dies as well. Champion of the Flame, 2 mana, 1/1, gets +2/+2 for each aura and equipment attached to it. Red-white is equipments and auras, that's the theme. This card goes quite well, it's a signpost for red-white. Right, Seal Away. Seal Away is our next uncommon. This might be good enough for standard. So what this does, it's a 2 mana removal spell, so it's 2 mana, it's got flash, so you can play at instant speed. When it enters the battlefield, exile target tapped creature an opponent controls until Seal Away leaves the battlefield. Your opponent's attacking you with that, with the Scarab God. Okay, great, I get to cast my Seal Away and exile it so that you can't get your Scarab God back and all this sort of stuff. Seal Away is going to be really, really good. Excellent card.
Don't forget your 2 boosters.
Thank you very much, John. Thanks for reminding me. Cool, so Zahid, Djinn of the Lamp. You may pay 3 and a blue, tap an untapped artifact you control rather than pay this spell's mana cost. Flying. So it's similar to Mahamuti Djinn. So Mahamuti Djinn was a 6 mana 5/6 with flying. This one, you get to pay less, tap an artifact, put it into play rather than paying its mana cost. It's quite fast, it's quite good beater, it's flying, it's a massive flying monster. Great news. Artificer's Assistant. So, whenever you cast a historic spell, scry 1. So, artifacts, legendaries, and sagas are historic. So, great. It's a 1 mana. It's a little engine. It's in foil. It might be good enough for Pauper. We don't know yet. We'll see how it goes. Cool. Right. John's just advised me I get to keep 2 boosters. So, I'm going to do this one. It's going to be my booster. I get to keep the cards from this booster. Let's hope it's something good. Fingers crossed. Thank you, John.
No worries.
Much appreciated. Cool, what have I got? I've got a Bloodstone Goblin, an Arbor Armament, a Caligo's Skin Witch, Unwind, cool, nice counter spell, Evacuation Elephant, D2 Chronicler, Ancient Animus, so pump spell, Navigator's Compass, fixing. Blink of an Eye, a nice bounce spell. Rampaging Cyclops. Oh, right, so my uncommons. What do I get to keep? I get to keep a Skizzik. So another reprint from the old set. Skizzik's a nice, similar to Ball Lightning, it's 4 mana, 5/3 this time though. Trample Haste, and at the beginning of the end step, sacrifice it if it wasn't kicked. So if you paid your kicker cost, you pay 5 mana, you get a 5/3 Trample and Haste. Cool. Knight of Grace, so it's another one of his first striking knights with protection, sorry, hexproof from black. Cool, my uncommon is Slinvoda. Oh, my uncommon legend, sorry, is the Rising Deep. So Leviathan, an 8 mana 8/8. If it's kicked, it's kick a 1 in blue, kicked, enters the battlefield, return all creatures to owner's hand except for merfolk, krakens, leviathans, and octopuses and serpents. So apart from sea beasts, excellent. First Eruption. So first Eruption deals 1 damage to each creature flying, then you get to add red, and then finally you get to sacrifice a mountain. If you do, it's 3 damage to each creature. So it's sort of a delayed pyroclasm. Cool. And I get a Jaya Ballard token as well, so the emblem for Jaya Ballard. Cool. Awesome. That's mine. Get to keep that. Thank you very much. Brilliant. The guys from Weekend Warlords always looking after me. Thank you very much indeed. Right, so next booster. So Fire Elemental, Broken Bond, Thallid Omnivore. This Thallid Omnivore, let's take a look at this. I was talking about Sapling Tribal earlier. So sack another creature gets +2/+2 until end turn. If a sapling was sacrificed this way, you gain 2 life. So more payoff for that black-green sapling deck. Vidalian Arcanist, Invoke the Divine, Gitu Chronicler, Ace the Glider, Run Amok, Yavimaya Shepherd, Voltaic Servant, sorry. Cool. So let's have a look at the uncommons. Common pile. Uncommons, Triumph of Gerard. Another copy of Triumph of Gerard. Memorial to Folly, Sinvoda again. Awesome. Right. Haphazard Bombardment. Whenever it enters the battlefield, choose 4 non-enchantment permanents you don't control and put an aim counter on each of them. At the beginning of your end step, if 2 or more permanents you don't control have an aim counter on them, destroy one of those permanents at random. So you get to choose, you get to choose 4 permanents you want to try and destroy, and then you have to try and destroy one of those. You destroy one of those at random at the beginning of your end step on each turn. So it's going to destroy some things. It's going to destroy 3 out of those 4 things over the course of 3 turns. That's pretty cool. And then if you get to play another one, you get to choose 4 different ones. So you have 5 permanents on it. So you get better in multiples. It's 6 mana though. It's a lot of mana. Cool. Skirk Prospector, another reprint. Sacrifice a Goblin, add red to your mana pool. Another card that's seen playing a lot of Goblin decks over the time. Cool. Healing Grace. Sorry, but let's go through them. Rescue, Rat Colony, Growth from the Ashes, G2 Journey Mage, Avon Sentry, Academy Drake, Deathbloom Thallid, Pardic Wanderer. Onto the uncommons now. Cast down. The best destroy target creature spell in the format. Unfortunately, it doesn't destroy legends though. This set has introduced a lot of legends to the format. Destroy target non-legendary creature at 1 and instant speed for 1 and a black. That's very similar to things like Doomblade. All these cards have had some sort of downside. This one has got destroy target non-legendary creature. In draft and sealed, this card's slightly worse because there's even more legends knocking around. However, in standard, this card has quite a bit of an upside on it. So we shall see where that ends up. Damping Sphere. This card is a really good hate card for modern, so it's an excellent sideboard card. If land is tapped for 2 or more mana, it produces just colourless instead of any type. Each spell a player casts 1 more for each 1 more to cast for each other spell that player has cast this turn. So it's really going to hate on Storm. So it's going to sit there, and Storm players are going to look at it and go, I can't deal with that. That's too. I mean, whenever I want to cast more spells, it costs me more mana. I have to get rid of the Damping Sphere first. So it's a good hate card, good sideboard card against those Storm decks that want to cast a lot of spells. Halar the Fire Fletcher. So Halar the Fire Fletcher, trample whenever you cast a spell. If that spell was kicked, put a +1/+1 counter on Halar the Fire Fletcher. Whenever it deals damage, equals number +1/+1 counters on it to each opponent. This is the Kicker Matters card. Excellent. So this is sort of signposting the way to the fact that you want to be playing kicker spells in your green-red deck. Cool. We have a mythic I don't know whether this card is worth a lot of money or not. It probably is. Mox Amber. It's the latest Mox card from the set. Mox Amber is a 0 mana legendary artifact. Tap to add 1 mana of any colour among legendary creatures or planeswalkers you control. So it's going to pay off once you've got a legendary creature or planeswalker in play. This is then going to let you tap to add 1 mana for any mana, and it costs 0 as well. That's quite powerful. All the Moxes have done similar things to have done similar things to this. It's a bit slower than previous Moxen we've seen. It's a bit more balanced. It's still probably going to be looked at quite heavily because the power level on it is quite high. We'll see where this ends up. It might be one of the more powerful cards, more expensive cards in the set. We're going to put that over there, so we've got it on show for everyone. Llanowar Scout. Let's have a look through this next pack. Llanowar Scout, Rat Colony, Befuddle, Benelish Honor Guard, Skirt Prospector, Corrosive Ooze, Cloud Reader Sphinx, Windgrace Acolyte, Gideon's Reproach, Navigator's Compass. Cool. Commons. Untamed Carvu. Nice kicker spell in green. 2 mana for a 2/2 bear with Vigilance and Trample. Really quite good. If it was kicked, it enters the battle with 3+1/+1 counters. Another nice modal spell there. Time of Ice, Saga. So tap target creature opponent controls. It doesn't untap during the next play and then the next turn untap step twice. So you get to keep something tapped. And finally, return all tapped creatures to their owner's hand. So they have to think about what they want to attack with the turn before this gets to 3, because all those things that they attack with, they're going to go back to their hand. Great. This is a throwback to the old Ice Age set. Tiana, Ship's Caretaker. So another one of these signpost uncommons. So what does it do? It's going to do stuff with auras and equipments, right? Yes, it is. Flying First Strike, 5 mana 3/3 with flying and First Strike. Whenever an aura equipment you control is put into a battlefield, you put into the graveyard from the battlefield, you may return that card to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. So it's going to alleviate slightly the problem of the auras and equipments dying from your creatures. Cool. So next one, Steel Leaf Champion. So it can't be blocked by creatures power 2 or less. It's 3 mana. You get to cast this on turn 2 after you cast a Llanowar Elf. So that's quite powerful. You get to make Llanowar Elf on turn 1, this on turn 2, and suddenly all those early creatures they've got in play, they can't block with, because they've all got power 2 or less. Great. Steel Leaf Champion, quite a good payoff card for playing Llanowar Elf in your deck. Let's keep cracking on through these boosters. We've got a few left. Mox Amber has been the highlight. We've got a Gilded Lotus. We've got a Weatherlight as well. So we're doing quite well, I think. We'll see where we end up. We've got a Woodland Cemetery as well. Cool. Okay, Pierce the Sky. Next pack. Pierce the Sky. Cabal Paladin. Homerid Explorer. Invoke the Divine. Fire Elemental. Broken Bond. Blessed Light. Sapling Migration. Keldon Overseer. Aesir Glider. Elfheim Druid as our first uncommon. We've got the Eldest Reborn. Let's talk briefly about the Eldest Reborn. So the Eldest Reborn is Nicol Bolas story card. So first up, each opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker, because Nicol Bolas is mean. Second up, each opponent discards a card. Each Nicol Bolas is mean. And finally, Nicol Bolas is mean again and puts target creature or planeswalker from graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. It's just a graveyard, so you can get your opponent's stuff that they've been sacrificing or discarding. I like this card a lot. 5 mana though. It's good, it's expensive, but it's really splashy. It's uncommon as well. Uncommon cards like this, they're pretty good to see that they're printing quite powerful cards that are uncommon. Elfheim Druid, we already mentioned this. Seal Away, another Seal Away, excellent. And our rare is Naban, Dean of Iteration. If a wizard entering the battlefield under your control causes a triggered ability on a opponent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. It's a trigger quite a lot of times. So it's 2 mana 2/1. It's a nice piker as the nomenclature goes. So if you've got wizards entering play and they cause triggered abilities to a permanent you control to trigger, so basically it lets you trigger your entering battlefield triggers a second time. Good. I'm not triggered at all. Are you? Let's move on. Next pack. Okay, Blessing of Belzenok, Relic Runner, Nice New Benalia, Frenzied Rage, Feral Abomination, Academy Journey Mage, Run Amok, Blood Tallow Candle, Call the Cavalry, Wizard's Report is our first Wizard's Retort is our first uncommon. So what does Wizard's Retort do? It says it costs 1 less you control if you control a wizard and counter target spell. So it's a sort of disallow style effect, so it's cancel. But if you control a wizard, it's actual counterspell. So it's a 2 mana counterspell. Counterspell, 2 mana, two mana spell that counters target spell from way back when. It was deemed too powerful, so attacked a mana onto it and called it cancel. We're going back there. This is payoff for if you control a wizard. Brilliant, love to see it. Some nice artwork there as well. Shield of the Realm. So if a source would deal damage to equipped creature, prevent 2 of that damage. It's very thematic for what a shield would do. So our signpost blue-red card. What does it do? Whenever flying haste 2/2 for 3 mana, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, wizards you control get +1/+1 till end of turn. Okay, so our signpost for blue-red is it's wizards. So wizards tribal. Let's play a lot of wizards in our deck. Give them all +1/+1. This itself is a wizard as well. So your instant sorcery spells are going to give your wizards +1/+1. Excellent. Right, we've got another goblin chain whirler. So when it enters the battlefield, it deals 1 to each opponent and each creature, 1 to each creature and each planeswalker they control. So it's 3 mana 3/3 with first strike. So when it's going to clear up all those little other goblins that your opponents might have as well. So it's going to clear the way, let your goblins get in for damage as well. It's quite good, it's quite fast, it's quite aggressive, it's good rate on it. I like that card quite a bit. Cool. And then finally we've got a foil. We've got a Gitu Lava Runner. So as long as there are 2 or more instant sorcery cards in your graveyard, it gets +1/+0 and haste. So it's going to be a 1 mana 2/2 with haste. 1 mana 2/2s with haste have historically been quite powerful. It does require you to have a few more cards in your graveyard, so it's going to be good, but a little bit better later in the game. It's quite aggressive. You'll get there, you'll get 2 or more instant or sorcery cards in your graveyard. If you're playing like a red aggressive deck, you want to play some burn spells in your deck. This card could see quite a bit of play in standard, quite good. Probably not good enough for some of the other formats out there. It's a common, it might see play in Pauper. There's always that. Pierce the Sky, Cabal Paladin, Arcane Flight, Sergeant at Arms, Fire Elemental, Broken Bond, Fiery Intervention, Blessed Light, Sparring Construct, Fungal Infection. Cool. Orcish Vandal is our first uncommon. Let's put that on the commons pile briefly. Sacrifice an artifact. Orcish Vandal deals 2 damage to any target. So it lets you get rid of all those extra artifacts you have, and also it deals 2 damage to any target. Any target, it's a new wording, you deal damage directly to the Planeswalker now rather than redirect it. They've changed the way that Planeswalker targeting works. So this card lets you sacrifice the excess artifacts you might have to destroy creatures that get in your way. It's quite a good engine. It's for quite good removal. I quite like it. Valid Zeus there. Sacrifice a creature, draw a card. Another card for that Thallid deck. Urgos, empty 1. So it's a Spectre, but it's a Spectre legend. Excuse me. So Spectres have historically made people discard cards when they deal damage to players. So that's what this card does. But it makes them discard at random, which is a mechanic we haven't really seen for a while. It was a mechanic a while back. It lets you hit those cards out of their hand that you wouldn't normally be able to, like lands. If that player can't discard cards, then you get to draw a card. So it's good. So it gets to the point where you've run them out of cards, and then you're just drawing cards. It becomes a card advantage engine. Excellent. Cool. Awesome. Our rare is Lich's Mastery. So it's got a lot of words on it. Let's have a read. So it's 6 mana. It says hexproof, so you can't destroy this thing. It's legendary. You can't lose the game. Must be good, right? Whenever you gain life, draw that many cards. Whenever you lose life, for each 1 life lost, exile a permanent you control or a card from your hand or graveyard. Finally, a downside. So that's how you're going to lose the game. You're going to lose the game when you run out of cards. Okay. But you got a way to go before that happens. And then when it leaves the battlefield, you lose the game. But it's got hexproof. It's going to be pretty hard for people to get rid of it off the battlefield. This card, you can't lose the game. You get to draw a bunch of cards. And, oh wait, you get to sack a bunch of permanents. And exile cards from your hand or graveyards when you lose life. Oh well. I'm sure that it's going to be fine. 6 mana for this effect. It reminds me of Yawgmoth's Bargain, which was a similar 6 mana enchantment that let you draw a bunch of extra cards. This card, probably quite nice. I think it will probably definitely see some play in Brawl decks out there somewhere. I'm definitely excited if I could play this in a Brawl deck. It looks really, really cool. Alright, next pack, let's move on. Oh, this is a damaged pack. John, we have a damaged pack here. I think it's been a bit smushed. Let's see what our damaged card is. Oh, that's really upsetting. It's a foil Cabal Stronghold. That's upsetting. That card's really rather good. So we've got a couple of damaged cards here. Oh, this is upsetting. It's a little folded. It looks like it's been a little bit damaged there.
Seal pack, wasn't
It was a sealed pack indeed. It had a little hole in the side of it actually when I opened it. This is actually on the less damaged side. It's got a slight bend in the back of it. It's got a little crease here. It's definitely not mint condition, but a bit of flattening that might be playable. I'd give it a go. I'd try and flatten it out. It's definitely worth it. It's certainly a little bit cheaper now that it's been damaged, unfortunately. Okay, we've also got a Traxos Scourge of Krug. We've got a bunch of commons, uncommons. Nothing really to shout about apart from that. Those ones are damaged. They'll probably go in the bin. But a couple of rares there that might be damaged. It's a shame that this nice foil Cabal Stronghold is damaged. Probably flatten those out a bit, but they will be a little bit cheaper. Cool. Awesome. So a foil Cabal Stronghold there. Quite nice in that mono black deck. We'll talk about what it does as well, shall we? Add colourless to your mana pool, 3 tap, add black to your mana pool for each basic swamp you control. So it's similar to a previous card we've seen. This one only counts basic swamps though, and there's a bit more to activate. So I've slowed it down for standard a little bit. Cool. Okay, let's have a look. Arbor Armaments, Stronghold Confessor, Artificer's Assistant, Sergeant Arms, Fervent Strike, Adventurous Impulse, Academy Drake, Ace Glider, Divination, Skittering Surveyor, that fixing card again. Right, uncommons. Diligent Excavator, Zalfarian Void, so when it's battlefield, scry 1, tap to add colourless to your mana pool. Varduk, Keeper of Flame, so at the beginning of your combat on your turn, each aura and equipment card attached to Varduk, Keeper of Flame, create a 3/1 red elemental creature token. I'm sure we saw one earlier. Here we go, here's a red elemental creature token. With Trample and Haste, exile those tokens and be in next end step. So it gets to make a bunch of tokens, especially if you get to stack all those artifacts and enchantments on it. A card that's dear to my heart at rare, Verdant Force, one of the first few rares I actually had. So it's been a reprint at the beginning of each upkeep. So each upkeep, not just yours and your opponent's upkeep. In a multiplayer game, it gets to make even more saprolings. Nice new artwork on it as well. That's quite exciting. I like that a lot. I like the fact that Verdant Force is back. Cool, awesome. Another booster. Let's have another look. Soul Salvage, Syncopate, Adamant Will, Seismic Shift, Primordial Worm, Dark Bargain, Fungal Infection, Guardians of Koilos, Keldon Overseer, Deep Freeze. So Zalfarian Void again, Wizard's Retort, Thorn Elemental, another card that we've seen a reprint of, Big Green Monster. So this card used to be a rare way back when. Nice to see they've downgraded it. So Thorn Elemental. You may have Thorn Elemental assign its combat damage as though it weren't blocked. So it's like Mega Trample. So they block it with a creature and you go, whatever, creature doesn't matter, deal all of its damage to you. So you get to deal 7 damage to your opponent no matter what. But you don't get to deal the damage to the creature that's blocking it. I like this card. This card is, again, a card from my childhood when I was playing the game. Absolutely love it. Big green monsters. There's everything to love about big green monsters. Right. Joda, Archmage Eternal. There's some stuff to talk about this card, actually. So, Joda, Archmage Eternal, in Jeskai colours. So, blue, red, white. So, 1 and Jeskai, so 4 mana. You get a 4/3 flyer. That's cool. A 4/3 flyer for 4 mana, that's pretty good cost effectiveness. But what's really interesting is that you get to play white, blue, black, red, green, so Wooburg, one of each colour, rather than pay the mana cost for spells that you cast. So you get to cast these big Thor Elementals and Verdant Forces. You get to cast these cards for cheaper while you've got a Joda in play. The other thing about Joda Archmage Eternal is that because it's got those colour symbols printed on it, maybe not its mana cost, but somewhere on the card, it means its colour identity for Brawl and Commander is 5 colour. So this is your 5 colour Commander for Brawl, which means you get to play all the colours and you get to play all the best cards in your deck, especially if those best cards are big and scary and giant. You get to cast them for 1 of each colour of magic. That's cool. That's excellent. Right, next pack, Befuddle, Benelish on a Guard, Skirk Prospect, Corrosive Ooze, Soul Salvage, Syncopate, Ravaging Cyclops, Deep Freeze, Pegasus Courser, Cloud Reader Sphinx. Cool. Lingering Phantom, Sarah Angel. Sarah Angel has seen a reprint. Nice new artwork again on Sarah Angel. Flying Vigilance, 4/4, card from the Dawn of Magic. This lovely card, absolutely beating in every deck it was played in. So you get to attack for 4 mana and block, attack for 4 damage and block. This card, one of the best ones out there. Classic, iconic card from Magic. Elders, the Cinderwind again. The Wizards matter, and we got the land to go with it as well. We've got a Sulphur Falls. This card's seeing loads and loads of play in Modern at the moment in those blue-red control decks. So it checks to see if you have an island or a mountain in play when you play it, and if you do, then it comes into play untapped. That's cool. Again, those dual lands that you get to play in Modern and Legacy, they all count. They've all got the island or mountain keyword on them. So they count. You get to count them for Sulphur Falls coming into untapped. So if you've got Steam Vents in play, you get to play Sulphur Falls untapped. Great news. Right, I love the artwork on this card. Absolutely brilliant. It's a cat with wings. What's not to love? And little glowing eyes, soulless, glowing little beady eyes. So for a single mana, you get to give something +1/+1 and flying. Again, but look at the artwork. It's a cat with wings, glowing blue wings. Dub, Frenzied Rage, Gaia's Protector, Divest, Talarian Scholar, Sparring Construct, Avon Sentry, Viscerate. This is the common you want to see in black. If you're going to play black in draft, this is one of the most amazing commons. It just destroys target creature. It deals with everything. Well, almost everything. And Llanowar Elves in the same pack. I don't know what I'd pick first, Llanowar Elves or Eviscerate. We'll have a look at what the rare is, shall we? Right, Damping Matrix. We'll put these on the common pile and the rare pile. There we go. Damping Matrix again, uncommon. Dauntless Bodyguard. Kawende, Pride of Femeref. Don't think we've seen this one just yet. So Kawende says, double strike. Creatures you control with first strike have double strike, so upgrades your first strike creatures to do double strike, so they do first strike damage and then they do normal damage as well. First strike just means you just do first strike damage, double strike means you deal your damage and then you deal your damage again. Cool, awesome. So we're talking about first picks. This might be it. Josu Voss, Lich Knight. So it's a 4 mana 4/5 with Menace. That's a pretty good rate. It's got a kicker on it. If you pay the kicker cost, if it was kicked, create 8 2/2 Zombie Knight tokens with Menace. That's really cool. You get a lot of power for your 10 mana that you've cast to play Josu Voss Lich Knight. That's cool. I like that a lot. Cool. Tragic Poet, Radiating Lightning, Mammoth Spider, Thallid Omnivore, Artificer's Assistant, Davenant Trapper, Vicious Offering, Keldon Overseer, Blessed Light at common. Settle the score. Exile target creature, put 2 loyalty counters on the planeswalker you control. Have a look at that one there. Brilliant. Destroy exile target creature again. This is even better than that card previously. Orcish Vandal, Song of Fairlies. Cool. Song of Fairlies. Till your next turn, creatures you control get tap, add 1 mana or any mana to your mana pool. It's going to add a lot of mana to your mana pool for that one. And then finally, on 3, put a +1/+1 counter you control on each creature you control. Those creatures gain Vigilance, Trample, and Indestructible till end of turn. Cool. So it's early. You get to play this one early in the game as well. It's only 2 mana. So you get to make a bunch of creatures, tap them all for mana, make even more creatures, and then finally, once you've got a board full of creatures, you get to give them all +1/+1, and they gain Vigilance, Trample, and Indestructible. Cool. Awesome. Put that in the rares pile. Right, Naru Meha, Master Wizard. So it's a mythic flash. So it's a 4 mana 3/3 with flash. When it enters the battlefield, copy target instant sorcery you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. Other wizards you control get +1/+1. So this is going to be really good for a wizards deck. It's a mythic, so it's probably going to be quite good in a wizards commander sort of brawl deck. That's cool. I like that. Wizards obviously are going to be the best creature type because the company's called Wizards, right? So that's always the way, right? Blues. That means that blue's the best color. Controversial topics. Relic Runner in foil can't be blocked if you cast a historic spell this turn. 2 mana 2/1. That's cool. But yeah, Narumeha proving once again Wizards are the best. Maybe. Might be Goblins. Probably is Goblins. Right. Feral Abomination, Relic Runner, Healing Grace, Radiating Lightning, Croson Druid, Calico Skin Witch, Baloth Gorger, Jousting Lance, Eviscerate again, Power Stone Shard, another Sarah Angel, Fire Fist Adept. So when it enters the battlefield, deals X damage to target creature, where X is the number of wizards you control. Again, one of those Wizards Matter cards. Brilliant. Tavona, Tatiova, Benthic Druid. We've seen this card already. So it's the one where you playing more lands means you get more life and more cards. That's cool. Everyone plays lands all the time, so that's great. Tempest Djinn. So this is another one of that series. So they printed a bunch of 3-mana creatures that all are blue, 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 green, red, green, red, red, red. So we've seen those ones. This one is the blue one. Flying, it gets +1/+0 for each basic island you control. So it's going to grow over the course of the game as you play more and more islands. It's also a flyer, which means it's just going to get people dead. Right, next pack. Adamant Will, Seismic Shift, Primordial Worm, Dark Bargain, Arcane Flight, Dub, Gift of Growth, Guardians of Koilos, Fungal Infection, Jousting Lance. Cool. Sage of Latnam. So it says sacrifice an artifact, draw a card. Yeah, that's quite cool. All those extra artifacts you get to turn into extra cards. Another Thor Elemental. Another Vaduk, Keeper of Flame. Our rare for this pack is Mishra's Self-Replicator. So Mishra's Self-Replicator says... Move that one over there. Right, Mishra's Self-Replicator says whenever you cast a historic spell, if you do, you may pay 1. If you do, create a copy of Mishra's Self-Replicator. So you get to make a bunch of 2/2s, and you get to make more 2/2s, and once you've got them in play, you get to make even more 2/2s, because they've all got that ability on them as well. So you soon get a bunch of artifacts. It provides a bunch of artifacts to sacrifice those effects that want you to sacrifice artifacts to them. So the one we've just seen, so sacrifice extra artifacts you might have to draw extra cards. That's cool. That means you get a bunch of extra artifacts. Mishra's Self-Replicator, quite a nice niche role player, quite good in certain decks. Keldon Warcaller, Krosan Druid, Drudge Sentinel, Vidalian Arcanist, Knight of New Benalia, Seismic Shift, Blood Tallow Candle, Academy Journey Mage, Windgrace Acolyte, Keldon Raider. Alright, those are the commons, onto the uncommons. Knight of Grace, Jorah's Familiar, Wrath Compassion. So, Gerard Compassion was the original Compassion. This is his ancestor. Wrath Compassion, Ship's Mage. Flying, you may cast historic spells as though they had flash. So, the white-blue signpost card is Flying and Flash. Okay, so we want to play our historic spells at instant speed. That's cool. Also, this flies. The white-blue mechanic is Flying. That's cool. This card, quite powerful. It's going to surprise a lot of your opponents. And then every other multiple historic card you cast after that will also have Flash. Brilliant. Okay, our rare. Fall of the Thran. So, what's it do? Oh, it's got the magic words on it. Destroy all lands. For when you really, really want to make some friends. So, as this saga enters the battlefield, so first turn you get to destroy all lands. Next turn you get to, each player returns 2 land cards from their graveyard to the battlefield. And then turn after that they get 2 more land cards. But what happens if I destroy all lands and then just destroy my Fall of the Thran? That means that all my lands my opponent controls are gone. The thing to do is to make a nice big monster. So, some sort of big, giant monster that get in the way and then can attack. So you're ahead on board, you've got a nice big monster in play, and then you destroy all lands. It means your opponents can't deal with your big monster. It's the old Armageddon style cards. This card is going to make some friends. If you play a Brawl, probably get attacked to death shortly afterwards. This is not going to win you friends. I'm lying when I said it's going to make you friends, being sarcastic, sorry. Play this card by all means. It's really powerful, but it's not going to win you any friends. Opt, so next pack. Opt, Banish on the Guard, Gitu Lava Runner, Grow from the Ashes, Cabal Evangel, Homerid Explorer, Ancient Animus, Gideon's Reproach, Guardians of Koilos, Deathbloom Thalid. Cool. Thalid Soothsayer, Weight of Memory, and Memorial to Glory. What does Memorial to Glory do? Memorial to Glory says, sacrifice it, create 2 1/1 white soldier creature tokens. I've not really spotted this amongst my opponent's lands in Limited, I'm going to say this. Attacked, and they've gone, oh, quickly, I'll make 2 white soldier creature tokens. I've gone, damn it, I wish I hadn't attacked now. Memorial to Glory, probably quite a good card. Let's have a look at our rare. Torgar, Famine Incarnate. So what does Torgar Famine Incarnate do? It's an 8-mana 7/6. Let's hope it's good. Oh yes, you can reduce its cost. So as an additional cost, you can sacrifice any number of creatures. So all those extra saplings you might have knocking around. This spell costs 2 less to cast for each creature sacrificed this way. When it enters the battlefield, up to one target player's life total becomes half their starting life total rounded down. Great, so they've gained a bunch of life and suddenly they're back down to 10. Great. Nice. All of that life gain they had completely invalidated by Torgar, Famine Incarnate. That's cool, and it's also a big monster as well. If you have enough saplings in play, you can get this down to costing 2 mana. Although by that point, you probably only want to make it 4 mana anyway. Cool. This card, I quite like. It's good. It's certainly good for limited. It might see quite a bit of play in Brawl. Standard, it's a bit slow, but we shall see where it gets to. It might be good. We shall see. Probably quite good against those decks that want to want to gain a bunch of life in Standard. Cool. So Adventurous Impulse. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature or land card from among them and put them into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Right, I really like a card called Ponder, and this is green Ponder. So Ponder is a blue spell that you've got to look at the top 3 cards of your library and put one of them into your hand and put the rest back on top of your library. Great. Adventurous Impulse is slightly weaker. It's green. It's green Ponder. This card, I think, will see a fair amount of play in Standard. I'm looking forward to playing it, especially in a deck full of creatures. So I play a black-green deck with a bunch of creatures, and I'm quite looking forward to playing Adventurous Impulse and Llanowar Elves in that deck. A couple of things to do on turn 1 that the deck was previously missing. This card, it also lets you fix your lands as well, mana base. So if you're short of mana, you get to play Adventurous Impulse, get a land off the top of your deck. Great. Awesome. I really like Adventurous Impulse. I think it's going to be a really good card. So the rest of them in the pack: Dark Bargain, Unwind, Adamant Will, Warlord's Fury, Mammoth Spider, Yavimar Shepherd, Sparring Construct, Divination, Demonic Whisper. Right, uncommons. In Bolas Clutches. Ah, brilliant. What does In Bolas Clutches do? It's a legendary aura. Enchant permanent. You control enchanted permanent. Enchanted permanent is legendary. 6 mana, I get to mind control something. Yes, I'm sold. It's got a brilliant picture of Nicol Bolas controlling Liliana. So your contract is in default. You belong to me now, serve or die, Nicol Bolas. Liliana is now serving Nicol Bolas because he's bought her contract. Great. Some extra flavour there. In Bolas Clutch is a hell of a good card. It's going to be really good and limited. I do love a good Mind Control. Mind Control was first pickable in every limited format it's been in. That card's going to be brilliant. Shield of the Realm, that other shield card, Yargle. So Yargle, that 9/3 again, that's hit. Tick that box off the list. So our rare is the white guy. So this guy is for a 3 white mana. Other creatures you control get +1/+1. This card is going to be really good. So White Weenie is a deck out there that wants to play a bunch of little, cheap, white creature cards. Benalish Marshal, absolutely an amazing card for the deck. It lets you pump up all your white creatures. It is itself a creature. There are cards out there, the Glorious Anthem, that sort of card. It's a 3 mana enchantment that does this. It doesn't actually attack your opponent. This does attack your opponent, and it gives all your other creatures +1/+1. This card's really powerful. It's probably one of the most powerful versions of that effect we've seen because it's on a 3 mana 3/3. The cost though is that you can almost have to be in mono white. So it's going to be a struggle to play. Right, next pack. Frenzied Rage, Gaia's Protector, Divest, Talarian Scholar, Tragic Poet, Radiating Lightning, Baloth Gorger, Call the Cavalry, Power Stone Shard, Vicious Offering. Cool. Those are our commons. Our uncommons are Chainer's Torment. It's a saga, so the first thing on it is Chainer's Torment deals 2 damage to each opponent, you gain 2 life. So you do that twice, and then finally you create a Black Nightmare Horror. I'm pretty sure I've seen this token somewhere. There we go. A Black Nightmare Horror. That is a hell of an amazingly scary card. Look at that. So you create an XX Nightmare Horror where X is half of your life total rounded up. It deals X damage to you. Okay, so you create a massive black monster to attack your opponents with. Absolutely brilliant. Cool. In Bolas Clutches again. Shanna, Sisay's Legacy. Can't be target of abilities your opponent controlling. It's +1/+1 for each creature you control. So the green-white signpost uncommon is Go Wide. So you want to have lots and lots of creatures in play, probably quite good with those saplings. And this is the payoff for it. You get a massive 2 mana creature to go in that deck. Cool. Okay. Yawgmoth's Vile Offering is our rare. So what is it? It's a legendary sorcery. Let's talk about legendary sorceries for a moment. You can only cast a legendary sorcery if you control a legendary creature or planeswalker. Okay, so you've got to have a legend in play. So this card must be quite good then. 5 mana, put up to 1 target creature or planeswalker card from your graveyard under the battlefield under your control. Destroy up to 1 target creature or planeswalker. Exile Yawgmoth's Vile Offering. That's really cool. So I get to get my best thing back from my graveyard to play, or from my opponent's graveyard to play for that matter, and also destroy up to 1 target creature or planeswalker. That's cool. That's a really good swing. But I have to have a legendary creature or planeswalker in play to do it. So I'm going to have some sort of cheap legendary creature in play that I've played before this spell, or planeswalker. There's a good nice Gideon out there for 3 mana. That might be quite good. Cool. I like this spell. It's going to see some play. It's probably going to see some play in Brawl. We'll put that over there. So Dub, next pack, sorry. Dub, Fervent Strike, Gaia's Protector, Blessing of Belznok, Tellarian Scholar, Excavation Elephant, struggling with these words, Rampaging Cyclops, Mesa Unicorn, Voltaic Servant, Blink of an Eye. Right, those are our commons. Sanctum Spirit is our first uncommon. Discard a historic card. It gains indestructible till end of turn. Sorcerer's Wand, equipped creature has 1 tap. This creature deals 1, just tap. Creature deals 1 damage to target creature or planeswalker. If it was a wizard, it deals 2 to that creature or planeswalker. That's cool. Tetsuko Umezawa, so a 2 mana 1/3. Creatures you control with power 1, toughness 1 or less can't be blocked. Power or toughness 1 or less, sorry. Okay, so that's just going to get in each turn for 1 damage. But also, if I've got a creature with like a 5/1, that can get in unblocked each turn as well. That's pretty good. Cool. Tetsuko Umezawa as well. So her ancestor is Umezawa from Umezawa's Jutei. I think there was an Umezawa before that in a previous set as well. So quite some history there coming back as well. Toshiro Umezawa there, it says in the flavor text. He had an Umezawa's Jutei. That card quite iconic as well. Right, Khan's Temporal Sundering. So what does this do? It's a legendary sorcery, so I've got to have a legend in play. Target player takes an extra turn after this one. Return up to 1 land permanent to its owner's hand. Exile Khan's Temporal Sundering. Cool, awesome. Also, let's have a look at this night token. Look at how nice that art looks. So Khan's Temporal Sundering is a Time Warp. Excellent, so you get to take an extra turn. That's cool. That's always a nice effect. Right, I seem to remember I'm allowed another booster. This next booster is going to be my booster. We'll see what we get. I'm excited. I don't know that I'll get a Mox Amber. We'll see where we end up. Mammoth Spider, Thallid Omnivore, Artificer's Assistant, Davenant Trapper, Keldon Warcaller, Croson Druid, Deep Freeze, Deathbloom Thallid, Saproling Migration, Eviscerate, excellent. Right, Nature's Spiral, return target permanent from your graveyard to hand, that's quite cool. Sorcerer's Wand, Coende Fired Ephemerith, excellent. Territorial Allosaurus. It's another dinosaur. Awesome. So, dinosaur. What is it? It's a 4 mana, 5/5 dinosaur with kicker. If it enters the battlefield, if it's kicked, it fights another creature. That's cool. Excellent. Get to play another dinosaur. Get another dinosaur for my dinosaur EDH deck. Wonderful. Cool. Next pack. Stronghold Confessor, Cold Water Snapper, Davenant Trapper, Gitu Lava Runner, Llanowar Envoy, Divest, Run Amok, Cloud Reader Sphinx, more Llanowar Elves. That's number 4. There are 4 Llanowar Elves. That's cool. Mesa Unicorn. Right, Uncommons, Wild Onslaught, Champion of the Flame, Board the Weatherlight. Our rare, we'll put that over here. Our rare is Marwyn the Nurturer. So, legendary creature, Elf Druid. Whenever another elf enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Marwyn. And then tap, add an amount of green to your mana pool equal to its power. So in an elf deck, you get to play more and more and more elves, and then suddenly add a bunch of mana to your mana pool, so you can play even more elves. That's cool. Excellent. Right, next pack. Warlord's Fury, Primordial Worm, Demonic Vigor, Cold Water Snapper, Tragic Poet, Keldon Warcaller, Skittering Surveyor, Gift of Growth, Fiery Intervention, Short Sword, Wizard's Lightning, Memorial to Unity is our first uncommon. So Memorial to Unity says, Sack it. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from among them, put it into your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Cool. Awesome. So it's like Leader Stampede kind of stuff. Spore Crown Thallid. Oh, we've got a rare. Let's see what our rare is. Ariel, Knight of Windgrace. So, Ariel, Knight of Windgrace says Vigilance. 2 and a white. Tap. Create a white Knight token with Vigilance. Tap X. Untap Knights you control. Destroy target creature power X or less. Cool. So we get to make a bunch of Knights and then use all of our Knights to destroy creatures. Excellent. We have 4 boosters left. Let's open Jaya Ballard. Fingers crossed we get some nice cards. We've got 4 boosters left. We've got some nice cards already. We've got Mox Amber here and a Weatherlight. Cool. Corrosive Ooze, Soul Salvage, Befuddle, Charge, Bloodstone Goblin, Llanowar Envoy, Shivan Fire, Windgrace Acolyte, Ancient Animus. Right, those are our commons. Reorganise some cards briefly. Aramanthian Wall, Fight Fire with Fire, Garner the Blood Flame. Okay, so our signpost uncommon for black-red is Flash. Whenever it enters the battlefield, return all to your hand all creature cards from your graveyard that will put there from anywhere this turn. Other creatures you control have haste. It doesn't really signpost too clearly what it's going to do. I know for a fact that black-red is all about sacrificing stuff. So if I get to sacrifice creatures, that's great. I then get to put Garner the Blood Flame into play and bring them all back again. So it's all about sacrifice for value. So you get to sacrifice a bunch of creatures and then you get to put Garner into play. Get them all back. That's cool. Awesome. Next one, another land. So we've had 3 dual lands from this box. That's pretty good. Clifftop Retreat. So it enters the battlefield tapped unless you control a mountain or plains. It's a red-white buddy land. We've got a foil. We've got Urza's Tome. Discard a card, then draw a card unless you exile a historic card from your graveyard. That's cool. So it's kind of like a Merfolk Looter. It's a bit more expensive. It's nice and foil and shiny though. That's an uncommon. Put the rare over here. We've got a mountain. We've got a forest, a Saproling. So let's open the Khan. Let's save the Khan packs up for last. This is going to be our last pack that we open. Put that over here. We'll open that one last. I've got a good feeling about that pack. I don't get to keep it for myself, but I've got a good feeling for that pack. All right. Opt, Charge, E2 Journey Mage, Llanowar Scout, Drudge Sentinel, Short Sword, Shivan Fire, Saproling Migration, Avon Sentry. Cool. Those are our commons. Wizard's Lightning. So another Wizard Matter card. So it costs 2 less to cast if you control any wizard. Deals 3 damage to any target. Becomes Lightning Bolt if you control a wizard. That's cool. Urza's Tome, Halar the Fire Fletchers again. This is one of the better cards. So this is the signpost uncommon that we saw earlier. That's all about kickers. That's cool. Oh, a good, nice card there for Phyrexian Scriptures. I was looking at this card for Legacy. So what does it do? So it's 4 mana. Put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature. That creature becomes an artifact in addition to its other types. So, first step, got to make something into a bigger artifact version of its previous self. Second, destroy all non-artifact creatures. But wait, I made something into an artifact last turn. That's cool, I get to keep that thing. And any other artifact creatures I had in play. I get to destroy all my opponent's artifact creatures as well. That seems fair. And then finally, exile all cards from all opponents' graveyards. That one's not so powerful on the final effect. But the second effect, really quite powerful there. I really like this card. I was looking at playing in an artifact-themed Sultai deck in Legacy. We've got a foil. We've got a Fire Fist Adept. When it enters the battlefield, it does X damage to target creature and opponent controls or X number of wizards you control. Cool. Phyrexian Scriptures though, that's quite exciting. I don't know whether that card's a sought-after card or not. I quite like it. I quite like how it works. I find the fact it destroys all my opponent's creatures while leaving me with at least one thing. Cool. Rescue, Sarah's Disciple, Bloodstone Goblin, Arbor Armament, Calico Skin Witch, Unwind, Academy Drake, Deathbloom Thallid, Pardic Wanderer, Fiery Intervention. Those are our commons. Diligent Excavator, Flame of Keld. Let's have a quick look at Flame of Keld. So discard your hand, okay? Oh, I get to draw 2 cards, that's good. And then if a red source I control will deal damage to a permanent, or player this turn, it deals that damage +2. Okay, so after I've played my entire hand of burn spells out, I get to play this, discard, oh wait, none, because I've already played all my burn spells. Next turn I get to draw 2 more cards, so I get 3 burn spells in my hand. And finally, my burn spells deal more damage. That seems quite good. So Diligent Excavator, Denithia. So I was talking to my friends. This card is going to look absolutely amazing in foil. So that stained glass effect on those windows is going to look absolutely lovely. This one isn't foil, that's a shame, but it will look absolutely amazing in foil. Cool. The Antiquities War. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. This is our rare. 4 mana. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal an artifact from among them. Put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Okay, so I get to look at more artifacts. And finally, artifacts you control become artifact creatures with base power toughness 5 until end of turn. That's really cool. So I get to have a deck with lots and lots of artifacts like Mishra's Self-Replicator and all this sort of stuff. Finally, all those artifacts I've got in play become 5/5s till end of turn. That's great. I'm going to attack you with them all and get you dead. So it should deal a lot of damage. And we've got a Teferi emblem as well. That's cool. Whenever you draw a card, exile target opponent controls. Teferi's ultimate must be good. Awesome. Right, so the Antiquities War. That's quite nice. I love that artwork as well. It's a Mark Tedded artwork. Little sort of blueprints of all the old stuff that from the Antiquities and that sort of stuff. That's cool. Right, this is that Khan booster we were excited for. Or I was excited for, at least. Let's see what we've got. So, Drudge Sentinel. Let's have a quick look. So this is going to be our last pack that we open. Drudge Sentinel. 3 tap it, becomes indestructible till end of turn. So that's quite cool. It's going to block quite nicely for us. Vidalian Arcanist. So spend some mana to cast instant spells. Knights of Dominaria 3/1. Cool. Seismic Shift. Adventurous Impulse. Another Green Ponder. That's excellent. Dark Bargain. Pardic Wanderer. Gideon's Reproach. Yavimaya Shepherd. Voltaic Serpent. Merfolk Trickster is our first uncommon. Right, I'm gonna sort out the rare. This is the land and the token. That's cool. So this is the rare. This one here. This is going to be the rare. I'm going to save this for last. I'm going to put that here briefly. Right. So our uncommons. Our uncommons are Merfolk Trickster, Warcry Phoenix, and Howling Golem. So this is the last rare from the pack. I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be good. Let's see. Let's see. It is Multani, Yavimai's Avatar, a mythic. Excellent. Cool. So what does Multani, Yavimai's Avatar do? It's a legendary avatar, 6 mana for a 0/0. Oh, that doesn't seem so good, but it's got reach and trample and it gets +1/+1 for each land you control and each land card in your graveyard. So it's actually quite big. It's going to be, at least on the turn you cast it, it's going to be 6/6, maybe bigger, depending on how many cards you've got in your graveyard. So return 2 target lands you control from their graveyard to hand. Return Multani from your graveyard to your hand. So it's going to keep coming back and back and back. It's going to be a threat that they have to find a way to exile or deal with, but you get to get it back from your graveyard every turn. That's cool. Multani is a legend from Magic the Past that's very good, and it was always very good. It's always very big, and it's so Multani was a Marrow sorcerer, and Marrow is the guy who designs the game, Mark Rosewater. So this is kind of his card, and it's nice to see that this is back as well. It's very flavourful, very reminds me of the good old days. So you can remember all these cards. They'll be available in the Weekend Warlords folders for you to buy. There are 4 Llanowar Elves. Excellent. 4 Llanowar Elves. That card's going to be quite good as standard. There's a Mox Amber. There's a slightly bent foil Cabal Stronghold. What else is there? Gilded Lotus Weatherlight. There's a few other bits and pieces. It all look very good. It's very exciting to me. Mox Amber, probably the highlight of the open here. Cool. Thank you very much, everyone. You've been watching Weekend Warlords. Cheers.
Thank you very much, Nick. Goodbye, everybody. Sign up to the YouTube channel so you get all these unboxings and stuff that Nick's doing at the moment, and we'll catch you